Hello, YouTube. Back in the old square. And yeah, I know it's been a minute since I've posted anything. Almost a year, actually, since I've really posted anything. Last thing I posted on was quite a while ago. And I know it was that video on checking your, see if you got bad transfer case adapter seals. Well, there's been some changes. I'm no longer living in the trailer park. So there's been some changes, and quite a bit of changes actually in my life over the last, since I do believe about September of last year, I think is when I posted that video. And there's been quite a bit in the last roughly 10 months, and I'll get into that later. But we're going to do a, I'm still driving truck. Yeah, I know my windshield's dirty. I haven't cleaned it or anything. It needs to be cleaned, but I still drive truck. That hasn't changed. So, but yeah, I'm going to do a cold start video on the Chevy here. And yeah, let's see she starts. Yeah, she definitely don't like starting when she's cold. Definitely not. Now, I did have this running yesterday. I did do some minor repair work. I did have a an issue with this switch right here for my electric fans. I lost power to the switch, which goes out to the controller where the relay is. So I did get this problem fixed. So now I can actually run it without it overheating. So, but I'm gonna let it warm up. I did also do some carburetor adjusting, because then this thing would take forever to start. Crank and pump and crank and finally just before it decided to actually start. So I did do some carburetor adjusting, but this thing actually needs a new carburetor, and I'll show you why. So we're gonna go ahead and get this. I got this parked on the side of my house where we now live, and because you know, I got a new truck, a new pickup, that as soon as it gets home, because my sister-in-law is actually using it, I will do a video on that and some of the work I've had to do on it off camera due to time restraints and whatnot, and we'll take things from there. But yeah, she starts, and I'll do a video, kind of walk around what this thing looks like. So after some of the stuff I've done off camera, but I'm not going to try to hold a camera and move this thing over to the driveway, so I'll have to pause. Alright, so now I'm in my driveway. This is another project my brother and I have been doing off camera. This 96 Jeep Grand Cherokee. We just did a transmission swap in it because the transmission went out in it not too long after they bought it. But yeah, here she is. Still runs fairly good after doing the carb adjustments. I had the extra screws out way too far, and it yeah, so I'm actually going to be pulling the spark plugs on it just to kind of see how this thing's been running, and taking things from there, and I'll bring you all along with me. Alright, now we're going to go here into the shop. Well, garage shop, whatever you want to call it at this point. Yeah, we still got a lot of junk to go through before we get an organized shop here. And, ooh, put some of my tools back up. Yeah, there's the old tool cart. That's full of stuff. I got electrical boxes and a few other things right there. So I finally got most everything organized. Yeah, I know the shop is filthy. It's my brother's boxes right there. No, he doesn't have more tools than me. We're about equal on that, and I just haven't had the money to buy that right there. And yes, I want to put one right there. Cut some of this bench out, put my box right there, leave rest of the benches and whatnot. But we'll be doing that. We've been in this place since October of last year. All right. So, yeah. But shortly thereafter, November, my sister-in-law wrecked her car. And then a couple months after that is when my brother bought this for her. And, yeah, needless to say, it's had some problems, but we're fixing it. We're fixing it. But finally got that into a place where we can have use it instead of at my brother's storage shed. So this is just all product from moving, and we just haven't had the time. Yeah, my brother likes to just throw his cigarette butts everywhere. So then again, in some places I do the same thing if I own it. If I don't own it, then I'm respectful and I don't do that. So, but yeah, let me rather get some tools gathered up and meet you back over at the truck. All right, so that is the spark plug out of number 1 cylinder. And quite frankly, with a little bit of oil residue, but what small block Chevy doesn't leak oil? All right, I can tell you right now, that actually looks fairly normal. It's not completely fouled. There's no, and I put these in a couple of years ago when I did the videos showing putting that on there, doing a carb swap on this, how to do a carb swap. Yeah, I showed how you put these engine KV powers in there. Yeah, that don't look too bad. But quite frankly, I only put these in because they were cheap. I'm going back over to E3s because I noticed this thing did run better with the E3s, so I'm going to be putting these E3s back in. So, but I don't have a cameraman, whatever fucking pronouns you want to use, to show doing all this. Plus, I mean, come on, think about it. I don't need to show 8 spark plugs coming out, 8 spark plugs going in. So, yeah, I'm going to throw these back in, and I'll do a fire up afterwards. And another thing I wanted to point out, I put that number 1, because that come out of the front cylinder here, number 1 cylinder. And thing I had noticed is, yeah, I need to do something about my wires. They are not in a good place to be, but definitely new, dude, if you could tell. Both sides are like that. I do need to do something about them. So before you guys nail me to the wall in the comment section, yes, I do need to take care of that. Cylinder 3 is kind of much of the same as cylinder 1, except when I pulled this one out, it reeked horribly of gas, which tells me cylinder 3 isn't burning sufficiently enough. But yet when you look at it, it looks like it's burning right, maybe a little rich, but damn, it reeked heavily. All right, so another thing I want to point out before you guys nail me to the wall in the comments again is, yeah, I know these look like they're used because they are. I did not have these in the truck that long, a few months, maybe a year, and didn't have very many miles on them at this point, even though this was my daily. I didn't drive a whole lot, just to and from work mainly because, I mean, when we were hauling my family around, we used my wife's car, which had more than enough room to haul the 4 of us around in. So mainly what this was used was just back and forth to work, really. So, and I only lived like 2-3 miles from work, so round trip was 6 miles. All right, so yeah, it wasn't that bad. And that since I've been driving truck long haul, nobody's really been driving this. So I haven't been going out and starting it, to be honest with you. So, but I'm just kind of throwing these back in because I did notice better performance running these. Every engine I've ever put these in that I've owned from my own Grand Cherokee way back when, long before I started doing YouTube, I put these in. My 09 Cobalt, this, I've noticed a very big improvement on how it runs and fuel mileage too. So that's why I'm putting these back in. As you can tell, I mean, you look right there, if I can get it to focus, there's very little wear, hardly any wear on it at all, actually. So I don't see any reason why I can't just take a wire brush, just kind of clean the threads up, clean the top up there, and throw them back in. I just don't see why I can't. But these things I've spent $7 a pop on. So yeah, I want to get my money's worth out of them. There's no need to buy another set of these when these are still perfectly good. So this is what I call a poor man's tune-up. If you got stuff like this laying around that's still good, why spend money on buying brand new ones when these ones will work just fine? I mean, these look practically brand new other than a little discoloration on the ground straps up here. Just clean that off with the wire brush, throw them back in, you're good. All right. So notice something. I didn't have this plug wire pushed in all the way on this plug, so I probably was getting insufficient spark or no spark at all. So let's see if that works. I gotta get the other 6 changed out. Yeah, always be sure to double check, make sure that these are actually pushed on and they click, because I pulled that one off. It was very easy. Looks like it wasn't pushed on, so I'm thinking I was probably had it on enough to where it was getting some spark to it. It was arcing from the boot, or from inside the boot to the plug, through the plug and into the combustion chamber. But I think that might explain why that one was smelling heavily of gas, raw gas. So hopefully I solve this problem, and we'll have to wait and see if that be the case. So, and then yeah, I gotta fix this wire right here. It's all exposed and melty and things like that. So yeah, I gotta fix that. So that'll be another thing on my to-do list at some point, is to get that fixed. But I gotta get those 2 and then the other 4 on the other side. So I'll get back with you. Another thing I'd like to introduce: magnetic spark plug socket. Most of your auto parts, if not all your auto parts stores, carry these. I even think, you know, the tool trucks have them, things like that. And yeah, magnetic, holds it down. Okay. I like these better than the other ones with the rubber seals, rubber O-rings in them, simply because the rubber, sometimes your rubber O-rings will stick to that and you won't even know it, and you'll end up losing it. These magnetic ones are permanently in there. There you go. Pops it in. See how difficult it is for me, even with one hand, to get that out. Roughly the same price as of a regular spark plug socket, maybe $1 or $2 more, but well worth it. This is a Power Torque brand. There's the part number, if you guys can see that. I'll read it out though. It's GM 8558, so 8558. It's a spark plug socket, the 5/8 magnetic. You can get them at O'Reilly's. So, but yeah, well, they even have a 13/16. I do believe the metric, I think 19 millimeter, 17 millimeter, something like that. I can't remember the metric sizes, but they do have the metric sizes. They do have the standard 5/8 and 13/16. I even think they have a 9/16. So all the common sizes, they're individual. I think right now, I'm not even going to throw out a price at this point because inflation and whatnot. So things have changed since I bought this. I've had this for a couple of years now. Yeah, about that. So, but yeah, good thing to upgrade to magnetic spark plug socket, especially those who have spark plug wells. This is a good thing to have.